Part 2.
We've got some fire. Now, where there's fire, there's smoke, or is it the other way around? The thing we want to do is create a new document, and I want this to be pretty similar to the last one, so 700 by 700 at 72 dpi. Even if we have to crop it like we did the fire, it's good to start off with a similar base here, so our brushes are roughly the same size. And so let's get some stock images here. I just typed in pollution smoke, and let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see. So under Pixabay, I just went here to this one, and this is, you're going to get very different results depending on the image you pick. This one you can see has like a pink tint. There's some that are bluish, some are black and white, but the key is we want it to kind of match the using shortcuts from a different program. So the key is we want to get it to match the kind of the color of the fire as best we can, but make it fairly dark. So let's scale it a little bit up here, and something like that. I think I need to zoom in a little bit, and because I just want to get that bottom there and the top somewhere around here, and I think that's good. I'm going to just get rid of everything else. So to get this to work right, we got very similar colors, and we kind of have to make up kind of the border around what we want. So I'm going to use this selection brush tool, and then there's a bit of a process for the shortcut for scaling up your brush. But if you hold down Control, then you hold down Alt, then you hold down right click, then you hold down left click. Now you could drag to the left or right, and you could change the size of your brush. It's a bit of an adjustment, but you can get used to it. I think if you're on a Mac, the shortcut is a little bit easier. But so I got the basic selection. Now I'm going to hold down Control, Alt, right click, then left click, and make it a little bit smaller as I drag to the left, and zoom in a little bit here because I want to get some of these pieces if I can. And just clicking and dragging. If you get too much, you could hold down Alt and drag to get rid of parts of the selection. And I just want to get this underneath piece here. And this is just kind of random, but I think I'm okay with it as it is presently selected. So I just want to, well, I see a little piece here that I might want to try and get. All right. And that should, unless I keep noticing other parts, that should be good. Let's stop there. And now I want to make a refinement. So I click this button here, and I'll go with the white matte just because I got used to that. So this one, we have a little bit more flexibility here in terms of like doing stuff like feather. You don't want to go too far with it. And we could see how this ramp affects it. So this is kind of eating into the shape a little bit. And we do have our little brush here that'll kind of detect the edge, but this one is a little bit more complicated because it's so, it all blends into each other. So I don't know how well this one is going to work, but let's just see if we get a nice fading of the edge by clicking and dragging and painting around that. And yeah, it's a little bit hard to tell. We could try making adjustments here. Let's just bring it down and see what it looks like. That's not bad. Let's bring it up higher and see what that effect is. And so random, it's really hard to tell if it's getting much better or much worse. But I'm fairly happy with how this is working out. So I'll hit apply. And now I want to mask this by hitting the mask button right here. And I also want to see the transparency, and Control D to deselect. And I'll just look at this and see, okay, we got a decent fading around the edges. And I think I'll go with that. Now I want to compare this to my fire as I do color correction. And I just lost my window. Let's get that back. So I'll drag and drop this in here. And I'll delete that later, but this will just give me an idea for like color and contrast. And also what I want to do is select this image here and do a right click and rasterize and trim. And not sure how I got this extra layer, but I'm just going to delete it. Well, I don't want to delete it. I want to select these two layers, and I'll do a right click and go to merge visible. And now I've got an extra layer, and I could delete these two. Okay, so this is the layer of the clouds with no mask on it. And I turned off the fire so that the visibility, so that didn't get merged together. And now I'll select this layer and go to my adjustments. Usually I'll start off with curves, so let's do that. Okay, so we see we got a lot that we can move over here before we start to clip. And I could bring this down. Something like that. I don't want it to be too red. I want some of the darkness, but some of this color in here to kind of make it look like the fire is illuminating the clouds. Let's look at the red channel, because we might want to get rid of some of that red so we get some dark areas. And that might be all we want to do. The green and the blue, I don't know how much use we're going to get out of these. Probably not much. I'm just clicking different points for the highlights and shadows, and I don't see much use for the green. The blue, yeah, the blue isn't going to do much either. Well, I don't want to do that. That's making it kind of purplish. Let's keep it in this reddish, yellowish look. And then there's no, and you can see there's no blues in the dark colors here. So this point doesn't really do much. And then we could also go to the alpha if we want to adjust the overall opacity, but I think it's pretty good as it is. I'm not going to do much with that. All right, so I think that's good for our clouds. If you want, you could keep going through here, adjustments, do maybe some brightness and contrast, but I think it's pretty much done. Yeah, we're kind of losing all the details if we push that too far down, and you see it's affecting the fire, but fire is not really essential, and actually I could just delete it at this point. And I'm going to crop this thing down. And I also, before I finish, I want to give this a fading from the top to the bottom. So I want to just merge everything together. So I'll just right click, go to merge visible. And now these copies are just superfluous, so I'll delete them. And this is the merged copy. And now that we got it all together as one, I will go to my brush, and I've got a really big brush. Probably going to have a smaller eraser, and Control Alt, hold on right click, hold on left click, drag that out to the right, and we're going to get a bigger brush. My hardness is set down to 0, and let's make it even bigger to get a very big fading from this one. Maybe that's a little too big. All right, so that was a bit much. I'm just clicking once here at the bottom, and I can even turn this down if I want it to be more subtle. And let's see. Yeah, I think that's good. We have some smoke at the bottom, and it gets thicker towards the top as far as opacity, and this will help for blending things in. And yeah, so I'm just going to select this, Control J to make a duplicate, and on that duplicate I will go to arrange and flip this horizontal. So now we have two versions of this being flipped, And now I just turn this one off and go to File, Export, or Control Alt Shift S, and I'm going to save this as a PNG and export. Let's call this, we got our fire, let's call it smoke. And yeah, and I'll just turn this layer off, turn this on, and then export this one out.